Most underrated Beatles song. To be clear, the Beatles were seminal, visionary, and mind-boggling brilliant. But with over 300 songs released in 10 years, they were bound to drop the occasional bollock. We've gathered some of them here as a reminder. Here is a list of 10 underrated songs by the Beatles. Number 1, One After 909, 1970. No song from the Get Back project, which became Let It Be, exemplified its back to our roots concept, as well as One After 909, which kicks off our list of the top 10 underrated Beatles songs from 1966 to 1970. It was one of the first songs John Lennon and Paul McCartney wrote together, and in March 1963 they recorded a version that remained in the vaults. They resurrected the song in hopes of returning to their roots and performed it during their famous rooftop concert. A fairly simple train blues, One After 909 features a great dual lead vocal by Lennon and McCartney, as well as some killer guitar work by George Harrison. Number 2, Polythene Pam, 1969. For all their global appeal, the Beatles could still be true sons of Liverpool when they felt like it. The lyrics to both Penny Lane and I Am the Walrus reference jokes they learned as schoolboys on Merseyside, but it's on Polythene Pam, roughly the midpoint of Abbey Road, album ending medley where Lennon reverts to his Scouse accent, particularly in the second verse. Number 3, Lovely Rita, 1967. Given its near consensus status as one of the greatest albums of all time, it's hard to think that any of the songs from Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band could be called underrated. But Lovely Rita is often derided as a piece of lightweight McCartney fluff. While there's no denying its cheeriness, a deeper listen reveals just how on top of his game McCartney was in 1967. His vocals are so effortlessly confident that he doesn't seem to mind that he struck out with Rita. After all, he could find someone else. He's Paul McCartney. Number 4, Rain, 1966. Few drummers have been as unfairly maligned as Ringo Starr, which is why Rain, the B-side of Paperback Writer, is on our list of the top 10 underrated Beatles songs from 1966 to 1970. Along with his orchestral drumming on A Day in the Life, this is his finest performance. Next time someone around you says Ringo isn't a good drummer, have them listen to his inventive and powerful fills here. Then tell them the track was slowed down. Number 5, Martha My Dear. As brilliant as this album is, it is difficult to listen to the entire song in one sitting. One of the reasons is that it is such a longer album than some feature films, and some of it contains content such as Revolution 9, which is divisive. The song is mostly written in the key of E major with embellished chords and jazzy sprinkled dissonances. The verse is a syncopated duplicate of the first melodic section, with 2 extra beats added, a technique used later by McCartney in Two of Us. So, we have mentioned 5 of the most underrated songs by the Beatles already. Have you heard your favorite underrated song by the Beatles yet? Let us know in the comment section. Number 6, Two of Us, 1970. Let It Be was a disaster, with the group falling apart while the cameras were rolling. McCartney appeared to be the only one interested in the project, and his songs were among its best. The beauty of Two of Us, like One After 909, comes from John and Paul putting aside their animosities and singing in unison once more. Part of this could be because Lennon thought McCartney wrote the song about their relationship, when in fact it was about his soon-to-be wife, Linda Eastman. Number 7, I'm So Tired, 1968. Because the White Album was a double album with no singles, a feat only the Beatles could pull off back then, many of its songs could, in theory, qualify for our list of the top 10 underrated Beatles songs. We've chosen only 2, including I'm So Tired, where the juxtaposition of the sleepiness in the verse and the erotic torture of the song's middle section features Lennon at his best as both singer and songwriter. The Beatles began and completed I'm So Tired on October 8, 1968 during a lengthy session in which they also recorded the continuing story of Bungalow Bill. The group began recording at 4 p.m. and finished the following morning at 8 a.m. I'm So Tired was the first song to be taped and was completed in 14 takes. And although it wasn't a complicated recording, it did use all 8 of EMI's available tracks. Although the instruments were recorded on separate tracks, the Beatles played the song live with lead vocals from Lennon on every take. They later added a few overdubs, including extra vocals from John Lennon and Paul McCartney, more drums and guitars, electric piano, and organ. The closing words of the studio recording, muttered by Lennon, became part of the Paul is dead myth in 1969. Lennon says, "Monsieur, monsieur, monsieur, how about another one?" It was, however, interpreted by some as "Paul is dead, man, miss him, miss him, miss him," when played backward. Needless to say, this was not the Beatles' intention. I'm So Tired is a very much John's comment to the world, and it had that very special line, "And curse Sir Walter Raleigh. He was such a stupid git." That's a classic line, and it shows that there's no doubt John wrote it. I think it's 100% John. Being tired was one of his themes. He wrote, "I'm only sleeping." I think we were all pretty tired, but he chose to write about it. Number 8, For No One, 1966. So many songs are written about the after effects of past relationships, but For No One captures something different. McCartney describes the moment when couples run out of things to say to each other and all trust is gone, but memories of the good times keep them together. He also tempers the cold reality of the situation with a typically lovely melody and a rarity in rock, a French horn solo. The Beatles began recording For No One on May 9, 1966, with 10 takes of the rhythm track recorded, Paul McCartney on piano, and Ringo Starr on drums. And to the last of these, they added clavichord and percussion. Number 9, Hey Bulldog. As with I Am the Walrus, which was also inspired by the works of Lewis Carroll, Lennon's ability to give the meaning to absurdist gibberish in Hey Bulldog comes from a searing vocal performance. The Beatles recorded this while they were filming the promotional video for Lady Madonna. Since they had to be in a studio while filming, Paul McCartney thought they should record a song. They started recording this as Hey Bullfrog, but Paul barked at the end and made John Lennon laugh. They kept barking in and changed the title. Even though there was no mention of a bulldog in the verses or chorus, Hey Bulldog is chanted 4 times before John and Paul's playful banter, and then twice during the fade out. And this was also the first recording session in which John brought Yoko. This was the last song the Beatles recorded before leaving for a retreat in India to study meditation with the Maharishi. John Lennon called this a good-sounding record that means nothing. Musically, it has some interesting nuances. The middle part contains an interesting example of Lennon's polyphonic technique. The piano in the background does not follow the singer. Near the end of the song, Lennon talks while accompanied by the music, which could be considered a forerunner to rap. In the climax, Lennon starts shouting and others follow. They scream like mad while the guitar in the background plays the same notes again and again as if nothing has happened. The Beatles wanted to use this in the movie Yellow Submarine, but it didn't cut. When the film was re-released in 1999, the scene with this was included. The soundtrack was made up of songs that had been unreleased or previously released as singles. Going with the theme of the movie, the album cover contains psychedelic cartoons. Number 10, Getting Better. Although their songs were credited jointly, more often than not, Lennon and McCartney wrote separately, suggesting changes to one another along the way. Getting Better is one of the last true Lennon-McCartney collaborations. Their parts on A Day in the Life and I've Got a Feeling were written apart and combined to make one song. Paul's perpetual optimism, it's getting better all the time, is quickly cut by John's sarcasm, it can't get worse, an apt description from their respective worldviews in a single line. So, what are your thoughts on today's video? Please let us know in the comment section below. And if you haven't done so already, please make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our incredible videos. Keep an eye out for the next video. Bye for now.